The past 70 years have been the most peaceful in human civilization history, all thanks to nuclear bombs. Why do superpowers fear nuclear bombs so much? It's because nuclear bombs and human civilization are fundamentally different in terms of their magnitude. Society primarily relies on biological energy, chemical energy, and solar energy, which fall within the scope of low-energy universe. However, atomic energy, being the first power source mastered by humans, belongs to the realm of high-energy universe as a weapon. The crushing impact of nuclear weapons on human society is comparable to the crushing impact of high-energy universe on low-energy universe. The explosive charge of a hand grenade is approximately 50 grams of TNT, which can destroy all life within a 10-meter radius. With 20,000 hand grenades, the explosive charge amounts to 1 ton of TNT. The first atomic bomb to explode in Hiroshima, called Little Boy, although of a very primitive and outdated design, had a destructive power equivalent to about 15,000 tons of TNT, reducing the entire city of Hiroshima to rubble. In other words, it is roughly equivalent to 300 million hand grenades. However, Little Boy contained only 140 pounds of highly enriched uranium-235. With a primary atomic bomb requiring an explosive yield of 15,000 tons of TNT equivalent, Hiroshima was leveled. But the largest nuclear weapon ever invented by humans is the Soviet Tsar Bomba, also known as the King of Bombs, with a yield of up to 50 million tons. This is equivalent to over 3,000 little boys. The Tsar Bomba was designed with a yield of 100 million tons of TNT, with a lethal radius reaching 1,000 kilometers. The excessively large lethal radius left the Soviet Union with no safe place on Earth for testing, so they had to reduce it to 50 million tons of TNT. After the explosion, researchers found that the fireball radius of the Tsar Bomba reached 6.4 kilometers, exerting strong destructive effects on targets as far as 300 kilometers away. The electromagnetic pulse caused radio paralysis within 4,000 kilometers. The entire command system of the Soviet military lost contact for over an hour due to the explosion of this hydrogen bomb. If this bomb were dropped in the center of Germany, the majority of its territory would be directly destroyed. Even smaller European countries could be covered by a single hydrogen bomb. This is what is known as one bomb annihilates one country. So if you were hit by a Tsar Bomba, don't struggle, just vaporize instantly. The process takes less than a second, guaranteeing a painless death. After Japan surrendered, American military experts conducted detailed investigations of the scenes in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, analyzing the practical effects of atomic bombs. Little Boy detonated directly above the most prosperous area of Hiroshima, just above the Shogun Bridge. The main indicators of Little Boy were as follows: fireball radius, 180 meters. Blast radius, 340 meters. Radiation radius, 1.2 kilometers. First zone of the shockwave, 1.91 kilometers. Anyone within this area was undoubtedly doomed. In the end, the enormous shockwave leveled an area of 10 kilometers in diameter, with a safe radius of 12 kilometers. A single bomb annihilates a city within a 10-kilometer radius. If the atomic bomb explodes within 1.91 kilometers of your location, don't struggle, as you'll be dead in the next second after realizing it. Compared to those who were instantly vaporized within 340 meters of the blast center, you would only have some incompletely intact remains. If you are more than 1.91 kilometers away from the blast center, you can still attempt to seek refuge. When you see the flash of the atomic bomb, don't turn around, or you'll be blinded. Immediately find the nearest cover and lie down. A tree or a railing will do. Then tightly close your eyes, cover your ears, open your mouth, take a deep breath, and hold it to prevent the shockwave from rupturing your lungs or eardrums. After the shockwave, immediately find a place to take cover. Absolutely do not stay on the ground because nuclear radiation dust will soon descend, and once the radioactive dust enters your body, you will suffer permanent damage. If you need to leave indoors, remember to wear a mask and a raincoat, especially a mask. After being bombed by a nuclear weapon, you must immediately find a bomb shelter. The Earth is your best protective armor. The design strength of underground garages in residential areas can withstand hydrogen bomb attacks from 1 kilometer away. You should hide in an underground garage for at least 6 hours or more because the city you are in will soon experience continuous nuclear bomb attacks. Even if it has been flattened, nuclear bombs can still strike because perimeter has already bound all human nations with nuclear weapons. Perimeter. The power of nuclear bombs is so immense that it can instantaneously annihilate all of humanity. If a nuclear-armed country launches a deliberate surprise attack, then another nuclear power could potentially be destroyed in the first instance, losing all national power and a significant portion of its nuclear warheads, effectively erasing it from the map. And so, the perimeter system was born. The Soviet Union once established a perimeter system to deter enemy countries with nuclear power. A small group of Soviet soldiers would constantly stay in dark underground rooms, staring without blinking at various sensors, monitoring data such as Moscow's power grid, seismic waves, satellite signals, and radiation levels. This was the Soviet Union's perimeter. If perimeter lost contact with the command center and detected abnormal seismic waves and radiation in Moscow, along with a large-scale power outage in the grid, then perimeter would initiate doomsday, launching all of the Soviet Union's nuclear warheads, targeting all nuclear-armed countries. It would bomb the United States, bomb the United Kingdom, bomb France, bomb China, and even bomb Germany, Japan, South Korea, India, and others. This was the logic of perimeter, and as a result, no country in the world dared to initiate a nuclear war. If the command center lost contact and Moscow was detected being hit by a nuclear bomb, it meant that the enemy country had already exerted all efforts to eliminate the Soviet Union's nuclear counterattack capabilities. At this moment, even though the surviving perimeter team was still underground and unaware of what was happening outside, most of the Soviet Union had likely been flattened. All countries would perish together. If everyone was reduced to rubble, then perhaps the few remaining Soviets would have hope of rising in the future. The existence of perimeter ensured that even in a situation where the government decision-making level and senior military command had been eliminated, and the country was completely paralyzed, the nuclear missile system still possessed the ability to counterattack. In fact, within the 5 permanent member nations, each country has a similar team to perimeter, squatting hundreds of meters deep in underground bunkers, becoming the last line of nuclear deterrence for the country. They are the nation's final strike. If one day the United States launched a nuclear attack on Beijing, France and the United Kingdom would strongly condemn the US's barbaric act and urge China to remain calm. Russia would also declare support for China and promise to stand together. But none of this matters. The mission of China's perimeter is to launch all nuclear missiles at the first opportunity and obliterate all countries. There is no reasoning to be had, and there is no distinction between allies and enemies. Only such a system can ensure that no one dares to attack China with nuclear weapons. Once perimeter is activated, it's basically a nuclear exchange. Perimeter is an emotionless machine. They won't bother to verify which country's nuclear attack hit their own capital, nor do they have the time or ability to know which foreign cities are intact or in ruins. They simply launch all of their country's nuclear missiles according to the predetermined targets and bombard them directly. If a country's leader is decapitated and loses contact with perimeter, the perimeter systems of the other P5 nations will be activated in a chain reaction. Cities with a population of over 1 million will face at least one nuclear warhead attack, and China's major cities may be targeted with 20 or more nuclear warheads by the US and Russia. Even if a city is reduced to rubble, the bombing will continue because when the US and Russia designed perimeter, they had no idea how much nuclear strength would survive after a nuclear strike. The stockpile of nuclear warheads far exceeds the demand by tens of times. So, you should stay in a basement for at least 6 hours or more to protect yourself from repeated bombings. If you experience multiple nuclear flashes or ground tremors in a short period of time, it means a global nuclear war. Whether you are from a nuclear-armed or non-nuclear-armed country, you will perish. Hiding in a basement is your only survival option, but human civilization will be destroyed. There is an 80% chance of returning to the Stone Age and a 20% chance of entering an Ice Age directly. For those who die early, it is a kind of relief. Those who are lucky enough to survive may struggle in a nuclear winter. The prospect of doomsday is truly terrifying, and no country is willing to take such a risk, not even a 1 in a million chance. That's why the world has remained relatively peaceful in recent years. As an ordinary person, all I can hope for is that nuclear war never breaks out. The above are just internet views.